Alright, a lot of you guys recently asked me to make more videos about free-to-play single-player games that works offline, and this is going to be the part 2. So whether you are rocking a weak internet connection or just want some solo story-driven fun, I got you covered with more hidden gems and single-player games you can dive in right now. All of these games are 100% free-to-play. You can simply go ahead and download them from Steam. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into it. Alright, I'm starting with somewhat of an older game that's a bit of a blast from the past, and it's a game called BRINK. I actually never really knew about this game until one of you guys recommended me to check this one out. So it's basically a team-based first-person shooter way back from 2011 and try to blend that parkour movement with class-based shooting. The gameplay is all about objective-based missions like capturing point, escorting payloads, and hacking terminals. It's kind of a mix between Team Fortress and Mirror's Edge, but nowadays in 2025 pretty much all the online aspect is completely shut down. Now you can simply play the game single player offline at your own pace, which is pretty cool in my opinion. There is a class-based system. You can simply pick from 4 different roles like soldier, medic, engineer, and operative. Obviously there is a co-op aspect to it, but nowadays you cannot really play online as I previously mentioned. You can only play with bots, which is decent. You can always request ammo, weapons, or even revive you when you're down and out. The game has a pretty decent story with variety of locations, missions, lot of cutscenes and audio logs. It's definitely not the most graphically demanding game by any means. You can literally play this game on a potato PC. It's a cool little first-person shooter you can jump in and enjoy at your own pace, and it's completely free to download on Steam. Alright, next up we got Bakso Simulator, a super chill, cocky little simulator game where you manage and run your own Indonesian meatball store. It starts off simple. You take orders, cook up some meatballs and serve customers and make cash. But as you play, it's kind of turned into a full-on business management sim where you can hire employees, expand your store, even deal with weird events like ghost customers and thieves. It's a very simple little game with a cool art style, and it's totally single player as well. There isn't much of a deep story, but there is a light narrative going on, mostly just goofy NPC stuff like random side quests and some small town drama. It's a funny little game to check out, especially if you want to just lay back and just enjoy your time with it. So overall, if you're into this style of casual tycoon style games or just want something light and unique, it's a simple little game to check out right now, and it's totally free to download on Steam. If you're looking for an awesome little indie action game with overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, next up we got Starfetchers. Honestly, at first glance this looked like some janky low poly action game, but once you dive in, it's actually really good. Gameplay wise, it's a fast-paced side-scrolling hack and slash game with a big emphasis on stylish combat. You got swords, slow motion, and tons of decapitations, kinda similar to games like Hotline Miami, but in 3D and way more chaotic. The visuals and the art style does have a very unique tone to it, and the controls are very snappy. Once you get into the flow, it really feels satisfying. There's a bit of an interesting story to it where you play as a badass gangster doing mission for a shady company, and ultimately you have to climb the ranks and become the most notorious gangster ever lived. I'm not gonna lie, most of the time it's random, absurd, and full of weird characters, and half of the time you're not even sure what's happening, but it's a part of the charm, I guess. At the end of the day, the game is totally free to play and single player. You can complete the game within like a couple of hours. Right now the game is having more than 7,000 plus reviews on Steam, and they are overwhelmingly positive. So if you're in for a stylish indie action game with a very unique twist, there is zero reason not to give it a try. Alright, moving on to one of my favorite indie games from last year, and that is Sheepy, a short adventure, a charming little side-scrolling action platformer that kind of flew under a lot of people's radar. You play as this robotic sheep on a mission to rescue a missing girl, and the whole vibe is surprisingly emotional for such a short game. In terms of gameplay, it got that tight, responsive control you'd expect from a good indie platformer. You get your basic movements, attacks, and some light puzzle solving. But what really stands out for me is the pacing of the game. It doesn't waste your time. The whole thing can be beaten within like a couple of hours, but it's definitely feel well crafted the whole way through. I'm a big fan of this moody pixel art style graphics, and the general music and the soundtrack also fit the vibe really well. Honestly, if you get an hour to kill and enjoy a short, emotional platformer like Limbo, this one is a pretty cool option to check out right now. It's totally free to download on Steam and works well even with integrated graphics. If you're into stylish, story-driven games with a turn-based combat, next up we got an awesome single-player game, and that is Rivers 1999. Gameplay-wise, it's basically a turn-based strategy RPG game with a card-based system. Each character has unique skills represented in cards. You can merge cards to power them up in mid-battle. I would say the combat is a bit flashy, but it's not over the top, and the fights actually require you to think a little bit outside the box. Definitely one of the standout things in this game is the story. You play as this timekeeper, kinda stuck in a world where time is rewinding itself back to 1999 for some mysterious reason. It's full of weird time traveling stuff, meeting different characters from different eras. I would say it's definitely not your typical gacha story. Compared to some of the other free-to-play turn-based style games, this one feels more premium and narrative focused. Definitely a cool little game to check out right now, especially if you're into story-rich, stylized RPG style games. You can simply go ahead and download it right now from Steam. If you're looking for more of an action-packed experience, next up we get an awesome little game called Grimhook. It's a fast-paced first-person roguelike game where you swing around like Spider-Man with a grappling hook and blast enemies with tight neon-drenched arenas. The movement is honestly the star of the show, super smooth and super addicting. You're consistently flying through the air, chaining grapples, dodging bullets and grabbing loot mid-air. It feels chaotic but in an actual good way. Honestly, there's not much of a story, it's more about vibe and action. You basically have to fight off these weird creatures and robots, grabbing upgrades and try to survive as long as you can in these procedurally generated levels. All in all, a cool little game you can complete within like an hour or so. If you like games like Ultra Kill or any other boomer shooters, or just love high mobility FPS chaos, Grimhook is a pretty cool game to jump in right now. Alright, next up we got a game called Teleforum. It's a weird, kinda unsettling little narrative horror game that plays you out like you are tuning into some cursed TV show. It's a very short and creepy horror experience. You can complete the game under an hour, but it really leans you into that analog horror vibe from the 90s TV shows. Gameplay wise, it's super minimal. You're basically interacting with these retro looking interfaces, switching channels and decoding strange messages. It's not really about the action, it's more about the atmosphere and slowly piecing together what's happening in this messed up universe. There's no clear-cut story spelled out for you, but there's definitely a narrative running underneath. It's definitely worth checking out if you're into experimental horror or short eerie experiences, but don't expect like traditional gameplay. It's more like a creepy interactive art piece than a full-blown game. Anyway, it's totally free to download on Steam. Moving on to number 3, we got an awesome single-player action game called High Entropy Challanges. So this one is basically a love letter to immersive sims but packed into a bite-sized puzzle levels. Think of it something like Dishonored, but instead of full-blown story campaign, you're dropped into these little sandbox-style rooms where goal is simple, just get to the exit. But how you do it, it's totally up to you. The gameplay-wise is all about experimenting. You can sneak around, hack computers, throw bottles to distract guards, or even find hidden keycards. Or if you don't like the sneaky approach, you can go all guns blazing. Each level kind of feel like a mini escape room with multiple solutions. It actually rewards your creativity, and I really like the fact that it doesn't really hold your hand. You can simply figure things out on your own. So overall, if you're into first-person immersive sim style of games and want something low commitment but still really clever, this one is 100% worth checking out right now. Alright, next up we got one of my favorite games from our today's list, and that is a game called Postmouse. And this one is one of those super wholesome, low-stress indie games that just kinda make you smile. And throughout the game, you play as this little tiny mouse who's suddenly tasked to delivering a letter. The whole game is about basically you navigating through this big world from a mouse perspective, meeting cute and charming characters and slowly gaining confidence. Gameplay-wise, it's like a 3D platformer with some puzzles and exploration, nothing too complex. The game got a very beautiful art style and the environments are really charming too, and overall it got that cozy storybook-like vibe, which I'm personally a big fan of. It's a pretty short little single-player game that you can complete within like an hour or so, but for a free game, it's totally worth checking out, especially if you want something more relaxing and heartwarming. Alright, moving on to number 1 spot, we got an awesome single-player action first-person shooter called Escape from Zombietown. I very recently found out about this game and I downloaded it and gave it a try and ended up playing for a whole 2 hours because the game was so much fun. It's a classic boomer shooter style of a game with a beautiful art style and a very simple goal. You just have to escape from the town. Along the way, you can grab guns, grenades, health packs, power-ups, all while moving through waves of zombies. There are different types of weapons like like pistols, SMGs, shotguns, sniper rifles, but they all comes with a very limited number of ammo, so you have to be careful. But you usually find these ammo boxes and health packs all over the town. There are different zombie types to shake things up, like fast runners, slow burst, exploding type, even zombies that shoot lasers and eggs at you. Pretty fun. And there are about 20 levels in total with increased difficulty. It will definitely take you around few hours to complete. It's such a cool and colorful, simple first-person shooter that is super underrated right now on Steam, and I'm sure you probably never even heard about this game until now. And since the game is 100% free to play, there is no reason not to check it out. Well, there you have it, guys. 10 awesome, completely free-to-play, single-player, offline games that you can play right now in 2025. There have been a lot of requests from you guys asking for these single-player, offline games. And I already made a part 1 video. If you haven't checked it out, make sure to go ahead and do so. I will link it down in the pinned comment below. Anyway, guys, as always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned to the channel. I'll catch you guys soon in the next one. Stay safe.